Hello, this is Sanjeet Kumar Singh, lecturer in Electronics and Telecommunication Department at Praveen Patil College of Diploma Engineering and Technology, Bandari, Thane. This is our third part of presentation on fundamentals of fiber optic communication, and in this presentation we are going to talk about the optical components, sources, that is LED in particular. The unit outcome is to explain the working principle of the given optical source, that is the LED here. The optical components in optical fiber communication, the primary component is the optical fiber itself, and the other components, main components, are sources on the transmitter side and detectors on the receiver side. So fiber optic sources, let's see. The transmission begins with the transmitter, which will have modulation and the carrier generator circuit. But here the carrier is light beam that is modulated by the digital pulses which turn it on and off the light source. To transmit a high speed digital pulses, a very fast light source like the LEDs and laser diodes will be used. Both are solid state devices. Both infrared and portion of the visible spectrum are useful for optical fiber communication, and particularly for the data rate of 100 to 200 megabits per second, LEDs are more suitable in multi-mode fibers. Now let's see how light is generated. Light generating process in both LEDs and laser diodes is due to the recombination of electrons and holes inside a p-n junction, and this process of recombination of the electrons and holes is called electroluminescence, where surplus energy difference leaves the site of recombination, that is the p-n junction. It will leave as photon with the wavelength in nanometers. So lambda is the wavelength in nanometer, given as hc divided by E, where h is the Planck constant and its value is 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second, and c of course is the speed of light, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, and E is the band gap energy of the material is for the LED construction or the laser construction. Here is a simple structure of LED, where we find p type of material and n type of material forming a p-n junction here that becomes the active region or the site of recombination, where the magnetic carriers will recombine, and the difference between their band energy between the conduction band and the valence band, or the p type and the n type, will be given out in the form of photons. So these are the lights coming out, emitted light from the site of recombination of electrons and holes. And this diagram shows the, when it is properly based, when this structure is properly based with the help of a say supply with a battery P connected to the P type and the negative terminal connected to N type. So there is the excitation and the electrons are moving to the conduction band from the valence band. So that is the unstable state, and it will fall back to the valence band and giving out the photons. Therefore light is emitted from with the simultaneous that is called spontaneous emission. The LED light emitting diode, simple LED, is nothing but a p-n junction semiconductor device which is made of direct band gap semiconductor. The semiconductor could be direct or indirect. Here generally direct band gap semiconductors are used for LEDs and lasers. So, and moreover it is homojunction because the p-n junction of same material is used, will emit light when it is forward bias. So this is the forward biasing of the LED structure, and this is
the p-n junction where recombination of the electrons from n type is moving towards the p side, and the holes from the p side is moving towards the n type material. So here is the site of recombination, and as the electrons are falling back to the valence band, light is given out or photon is coming out. The different materials, gallium arsenide will have a wavelength produced of 900 nanometer, which has a band gap energy of 1.42 electron volt. Aluminum gallium arsenide has a wavelength of near about 780 nanometer, and it has a band gap energy of 1.4 to 1.55 electron volt. And even lower wavelength in visible light region materials like gallium arsenide phosphide, indium gallium arsenide phosphide, or gallium phosphide, silicon carbide for the blue light are used. Indirect band gap semiconductors are germanium and silicon, which are the elemental semiconductors. But for LED and laser construction, we are making use of the direct band gap semiconductors, that is gallium arsenide, gallium nitride, aluminum nitride, indium arsenide, indium phosphide. Commonly used wavelengths of LEDs are 0.8 to 0.94, 1.3 micrometer, 1.55 micrometer, that is near infrared range, just below the red light. And out of that, the lambda wavelength, that is 1.3 micrometer, is most commonly used as it offers minimum loss made by gallium arsenide, indium phosphide. So this shows the working of a LED structure when it is properly biased, and the working principle is based on spontaneous emission due to the electrons falling from the conduction band higher energy level to the valence band, that is lower energy level, and giving out the photons. This spontaneous emission takes place without interaction with the other photons, and the direction and phase are random. Now let's see what are the types of LED structure. We have the 5 types: surface emitter LED, edge emitter LED, superluminescent LED, planar LED, dome LED, out of which the surface emitter and edge emitter are mostly used for the optical fiber communication. Here we have a table consisting of material for the LED construction with respect to wavelength they are radiating out, and band gap energy of the constituent material, that is gallium arsenide, has a band gap energy of 1.4 electron volt. So higher the electron volt, lesser will be the wavelength. Now let's see the surface emitter LED. Here is the construction diagram of surface emitter LED. So here we can see there is a circular metal contact. This is the circular metal contact, and that defines the active region. So this is the active region, and this is 2.2 to 2.5 micrometer thick, in which light is generated. So from active region light is generated, and this contact is normally 50 micrometer in diameter. As you can see, contact 50 micrometer in diameter, and this is to couple the light into the optical fiber. So here we have the optical fiber that is brought near closer to the active site where light will be emitted, and it is mostly coupled into the optical fiber. And to hold that fiber, we have the epoxy resin surrounding, and for the optical fiber to come closer to the active site, here is a east wheel, and the light emission pattern is isotropic. That means from here, the active site region, it is radiating in all direction, but due to the confinement layers, it is focused into the optical fiber. It is directed towards the optical fiber, and this optical fiber is generally multimode fiber, as it has core diameter greater than or equal to 50 micrometer,
and is cemented to the active site. So most of the emitted light will enter into the fiber, and not all, because it depends upon the numerical aperture or the acceptance cone of the optical fiber. But this is 2 to 6 times brighter than the edge emitter LED, and the light output is 50 milliwatt at 300 milliampere could be generated. Here we have a structure double heterojunction surface emitter LED for a wavelength of 0.8 to 0.9 micrometer, and it is a high radiant structure. The same is drawn here. This is the active region, and up and down here we have the confinement layers, and these two layers, due to these two layers, it is called double heterojunction layers or DH. Second type, edge emitter LED. So this is the construction. This is the active region. Consists of active junction region of 50 to 100 micrometer and two transparent guiding regions. So these two are the two transparent guiding regions. The guiding layers or the guiding regions have a refractive index that is greater than less than the active region, but more than the surrounding material, and thus forms a waveguide channel for the optical radiation. So from here active side, radiation is coming out in the plane perpendicular to this site, and it is elliptical beam that is coming out, and this guiding layer and the active layer reduces self absorption. So it will reduce the self absorption within the material, and more light output is coming or coupling into the optical fiber. So reduced absorption and more coupling, that is 5 to 6 times than the surface emitter LED at a lower numerical aperture to external fiber can be coupled. So it has higher coupling efficiency as compared to the surface emitter LED with 25 to 35 degree of half power beam width, that is considered as narrower, in a plane perpendicular to the PN junction. So this is the plane perpendicular to the PN junction, and this type of LED is preferred to the surface emitter LED for optical data rate above 20 megabits per second. Here we have the different construction for the long wavelength surface emitter LED and for short wave surface emitter LED construction here, and this is for the edge emitter indium gallium arsenide phosphide LED structure. A spectral width of LED and laser, and the two types of the LED, edge emitter LED and the second one is the surface emitter LED. So here the edge emitter is narrower as compared to surface emitter LED, and this is the LED and laser spectral width, where we find laser is having narrower, more focused light is produced. As comparison, now the comparison of surface emitter LED and edge emitter LED based on different parameters we can compare. So it is easy to fabricate the surface emitter LED, whereas it is difficult in edge emitter type. It is less reliable. Edge emitter is highly reliable. System is low performance. System is high performance, and maximum quantum efficiency is up to 60%. And here in edge emitter we have the 60 to 80% of quantum efficiency. Thank you very much.